All right, you guys. Well, we ended up getting back from the coast. On the way home, there was a little bit more room left in the trailer to fill it up. So Jillian convinced me to stop by our supplier for our hanging baskets and pots and whatnot. So we ended up filling this thing right to the nines. So we're gonna go through and just grab a few things to throw into greenhouse one for the hanging baskets, because that's where we're gonna build them. And then we'll move a bit of stuff down to the nursery and the rest will go down to storage. And then I'm gonna find a spot to clean up and get this stuff unloaded, because I think what we might actually end up doing is building those shelves in the nursery we already have. That way we can get 4 times the square footage for shelving right away instead of waiting, because I probably, now that we got delayed by 2 months to pick the greenhouse up, there's a pretty good chance that I won't get it built this spring. I might get the footings in maybe, but we'll see how the time goes. So I think just the easiest thing to do would be to utilize the shelving in the nursery we have. We'll get 4 extra set of shelves and then build the rest later. So we'll look at a good spot to store that, and then we'll go from there. All right, well, we got it unloaded. I think it was around 2 pallets. So we ended up with 12 boxes of 606 and like 18 boxes of 4-inch. So what we'll do is we'll get some put into greenhouse 1, because when our plugs come for the hanging baskets, there's always going to be a little bit left over that needs to be potted up. So we'll do that in here instead of taking it all down to the nursery. So we'll probably bring 2 boxes in here. We'll take 2 boxes down to the nursery for potting up stuff into 4-inch there, and then the rest will go into the sea can. And I actually don't know what's in this box. It's labeled different. Oh, 2-inch. We don't plant a whole lot of stuff into 2-inch, really just herbs. And then fuchsia, I guess, if we bring in fuchsia. I'm not sure if we did this year, but so that's the load. And then we also got the all the hanging baskets in. So we got, I think it's 200 of the 14-inch hanging baskets, 1 sleeve of 10-inch patio planters. I believe there's 20, and then 1 sleeve of the 14-inch. And then these are our 4 boxes of 12-inch plastic hanging baskets, similar to the ones we did last year. So yeah, she's all loaded up. We go to get plugs next week, so that's what all this dirt in here is for. We'll go burn through most of that for our hanging baskets. So next week will be a busy week. We'll bring our tub of dirt up here, start mixing, and start making recipes. So this is our storage sea can. And we're always limited on space here on the farm, so everything kind of gets chucked in here. You can see we've been picking through here already and have had a few catastrophic fall downs here. So I'll do a little bit of cleanup. We'll try to use up this stuff first. So this is a lot of stuff from last year, and then there's also a lot of stuff here that we use for our garden. So our tomatoes and peppers will get potted up into the same 4-inch pots year over year. So we do keep those. So we're gonna go through here. We'll take some of this stuff over to the nursery, being that we're gonna kind of hit overdrive here in the next couple weeks. So we will get this stuff moved. We'll get the new stuff brought in to store it out of the weather, and then we'll go from there. All right, well, we're making pretty good progress in here. I got most of the 4-inch already in, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move all the junk in this corner and the shelves over to this other corner. And then I got a spare set of string lights. I'm gonna string light this whole thing because I do have a power cord run to this outside horse waterer. So what I'll do is I'll just leave that there all summer. I'll string it in here so that when people come in to grab supplies, whether it be for the seedling sale or amendments or CSA boxes throughout the season, at least we have a light source so it's a little bit easier to see. We're gonna have a few more people working on the farm this year, so I want to try to make it as streamlined as we can so that I don't have to get called and Shaylin doesn't have to get called all the time. So some better lighting, we'll get some signage in here for 3-inch, 6-inch pots, blah, 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 so that it's easier for people to grab. So while I'm in here, I'm gonna work on that. And then I'll show you guys kind of what it looks like once it's all organized and looking better. All right, well, we managed to make a bit of headway here. Early in the summer, when we're really gardening pretty well predominantly, amendments is the first thing we're usually gonna be going for. So I moved all the amendments up to the front. Once June hits, these will all be stored over by the wash pack, so that'll free up a bit of area here. These will be going out into the garden in the next couple weeks. And then for pots and trays, just organized it by size. So all this stuff here is for what we use for peppers and tomatoes. And then we went 4-inch, 2-inch, and then some caged stuff for patio peppers and tomatoes. And then I slid that shelf all the way to the end. So I still got a bit more organizing to do down here, but at least it's a little bit better than it was. I'll bring my toolbox back here, and this can be where we work on the cedar and whatnot. So again, a little bit more organized. Got the lights up, so I think it'll help. All right, you guys, we got to take a quick break from tidying up that sea can and unloading that greenhouse. It's gonna have to stay in there for a little bit. I don't need that trailer for a couple more days, so priorities are shifting slightly. You guys can see the nursery tables behind me on both sides are pretty well loaded up, and we will be going to get our plugs in 3 days for the hanging baskets. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fire up greenhouse 1 and test the furnace so that we know that it's working and we can get things up to temperature a few days in advance, because we don't want to wait until the day of and then it not work and we need to get somebody in here to fix it up. So we're gonna do that, and then what we're also gonna do is we're gonna take succession 2 pansies and violas up there, because most of those are ours for our sale. Succession 1, most of that's actually gonna go to one of our wholesale customers. They open 2 weeks earlier than we do. So instead of moving these twice, we will leave these here. We'll feed them, and then we'll just load them straight for delivery when the time comes. So we'll move succession 1. We just finished potting up a few osteos or African daisies. So those are 4-inch pots, so they can go up. We got some geraniums and maybe a few impatiens too. We'll take anything that can handle a bit of cooler temperatures, because I'm not going to crank that furnace right up to basket temperature. We'll probably leave it at around 10 degrees overnight. Once the basket comes, we'll crank it up to 12 to 15. As the season progresses, we'll slowly ramp it up a bit when we're trying to push the hanging baskets to flower. So for now, like I say, we'll just take some of the cold hardy stuff up there, test the furnace, and start getting some greenery in greenhouse 1. So a couple things that we'll do now that we're starting to bring plants up here is we'll check to make sure that our over temp thermostat is set to a temperature that's above where the furnace is going to be. So we don't want it to get any hotter than 25 in here for the seedlings. So we'll set this at 25, and then we'll set the furnace itself to our 10 degrees. And these furnaces are pretty straightforward. I didn't know a whole lot about big propane furnaces until we got into this whole greenhouse show, but it's pretty straightforward. They basically just have a shut off up top here on the line. Both greenhouse 1 and greenhouse 2 are fed off the same big propane tank that sits between the 2 buildings. So the line comes on, and then it's just a switch of the breaker, nothing to it. So that's good to go. It won't kick on obviously because it's daytime, so I'll come out tonight and make sure that it fires up and whatnot. But that's pretty well all we got to do. And then we'll also turn the circulation fans on to get things blowing around. Those are all on a switch. So that's it. Let's get things loaded in here. So one thing that we'll make sure that we always do at this early season is that anything that's an early planting, like these osteos for an example, is we won't bring them way to the back of the greenhouse. These can handle quite a bit of cool temperatures, and once the vegetables really start coming out of the nursery and filling this greenhouse up, these can go outside. So what we'll do is we'll leave them close to the door. We'll leave those two open for building hanging baskets. And then these will stay kind of mid to forward. And then when lots of plants start coming out, these will be one of the first things to actually go onto outside tables. We usually set up 4 or 5 tables outside too. So snapdragons will go out, dusty millers will go out, osteos, violas, pansies, anything that can handle a bit of a cooler temperature will go outside early. So we try to keep it at the front of the greenhouse just so it's less traveling back and forth. Okay, well, the boss showed up and apparently she wants all of this moved because she's got a massive week to pot up all of this. So we're gonna double handle this. Yay. Okay, so now that you showed up late to work, are you gonna wanna move all this stuff too? No?
No, this will do.
Okay, so you're gonna move this all where? This is gonna be filled with petunias, or pansies and violas?
Yeah, and we'll put all the petunias over there. And then we'll leave the middle ones for the plugs.
Okay. Thumbs up. Double. All right, you guys, well, you can see that we filled this whole table from front basically all the way to the back with pansies and violas. So we created quite a bit of room down in the nursery for Shaylin. She's got about 16,000 petunias to do this week. So pretty crucial that we got that room made for her. And then we also brought up the osteos, geraniums, and some lavender. The impatiens weren't quite ready yet, so we'll probably get those potted up this week too, but things are starting to fill up fast. So make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss a video, and follow us this year as we, I don't know, do some cool shit.